When was the last time you completely lost track of time doing something purely for fun?
If you can't remember, you're not alone. Most of us have convinced ourselves that fun is selfish, unproductive, or something that we'll get to when we have enough time.
But there is so much research that shows us that engaging in play as adults has so many benefits for things like our mental health and creativity and our relationships.
So today we're diving into play and fun and why these are such important pillars for our well-being as adults and why it's not just for kids. The content in this podcast is provided for informational and educational purposes only. Nothing we say should be taken as individualized advice. If anything you hear brings up concerns for you, we strongly encourage you to speak with your GP, psychologist, or another qualified health professional.
We would like to acknowledge and pay our respects to the traditional owners of the unceded lands of the Kulin Nation on which this podcast is recorded. We acknowledge their rich history and honour the ongoing connection to land, waters, culture and community.
Welcome to This Might Help, a podcast bridging the gap between evidence-based psychology research and your everyday life.
We're your hosts. I'm Dr. Lauren Rossetti.
And I'm Dr. Kira Hart. We're two Australian psychologists.
And today we're talking all about play.
Fun!
So having fun and really around why incorporating play and fun into our lives is so important for our well-being. We often forget as adults that fun and play are foundations of just being human.
Yeah.
And play isn't just for kids.
No.
We're taking it back. Taking it back from the kids. No, we shouldn't say that. Play is for everyone.
Play is for everyone.
Play is for everyone.
Kids and adults alike.
Yeah, but before we get stuck into the content of the episode as usual, Kira, I want to hear about your well-being win and wobble for the week.
My well-being win was I had a friend's birthday party and we had the most amazing dinner for her and it was just a really special evening. So that was my well-being win, and my well-being wobble was somewhat of a win as well, but also a bit of a wobble. I caught up with my sister this morning only for about 10 minutes because I was meeting with my parents and then my sister also came to their house and we had like a brief crossover.
Yes.
But she brought her little puppy as well. And my well-being wobble was, whilst our catch-up was great, it wasn't long enough, and it really made me realize that I miss my sister even though she doesn't live too far away. But I want to spend more time with her and her puppy, obviously.
Yeah.
So that was my wobble. What about you? Well-being win?
Nice.
I know.
And it's just highlighting to me again how many well-being wins you already have, but your wobbles are even like kind of a win. Yeah. My well-being win this week is a also podcast related well-being win. It's that I have been hearing back from friends and family and colleagues and people who are saying like, oh, I did this thing that you said in the podcast and it's been so good, and that's just like warming my heart.
Yeah.
And family calling and saying, oh, the other day something happened in our lives, and then I thought the Lauren and Kira talked about that on the podcast. And so it's just kind of infiltrating the lives of our friends and family and other people. And even a lovely friend said, oh, I passed it on to someone, and then they just listened to all of the episodes all in one go. And I just thought, shout out.
Yeah.
Shout out to the listeners.
Amazing.
That's my well-being in. Just loving hearing everyone's enjoyment. And then my well-being wobble is very basic. It is just the wet and rainy weather, and I walk to work. And so it's been like the whole maneuvering of the umbrella, trying for it to not flip inside out, and like for me to fly away like Mary Poppins. That's been happening all week. So that's my well-being wobble. Yep, just
the weather.
Trying not to fly away in the wind.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, in today's episode, we're diving into play and fun and why these are such important pillars, not just for children, as you mentioned, but also for adults. and our well-being in adulthood. They often get overlooked, play and fun,
Yeah.
and left behind, deprioritized in place of other things like work or life admin, or of course, time scrolling on our phones.
Yes.
But today we're taking it back to our childhood.
Yes.
And when we say play and fun, what exactly do we mean?
So if you're asked, I guess often, the thing that we'll go to if we're asked what is play, you would say that play is like an activity. So people would often think to things like playing a game or playing a sport, but really play is this experience that is pleasurable or where we're in that state of enjoyment. And it's a state of being or a state of mind in which we're experiencing pleasure and fun. So play is not, just the activity of something like, I don't know, playing basketball.
Yeah.
Play is actually kind of the state of mind or state of being where we're enjoying something.
Dr. Stuart Brown, who we'll refer to a bit throughout this episode, he is a psychiatrist and the founder of the National Institute of Play. He speaks a lot about play as a state of mind that one has when absorbed in an activity that provides enjoyment and has a suspension of a sense of time. Play is self-motivated, so it's something we want to do over and over again.
Yeah. And I think that definition that Stuart Brown has around play and that state of play really covers a couple of key elements. And that's things like being engaged and present. So you kind of enter this state of flow, or what they talk about as the play state.
Yeah.
And this play state is when you're kind of lost in the thing that you're doing. So you're actively engaged, experiencing that enjoyment, and then you're kind of like time could pass and you're not noticing, or you're not feeling that sense of like how long's passed. You're kind of losing the concept of time. And it's something you're choosing to engage in that you really want to do. So that draws in that element at the end you mentioned about kind of wanting to do it again and again. Something you're really enjoying and you want more.
And this also makes us think about fun. So play and the state of enjoying something often involves having fun. So Catherine Price, who's a science journalist, wrote the book The Power of Fun. And this speaks to 3 elements that make up fun, 3 key elements. The first being playfulness. So the light-heartedness, doing things just for fun. The second element of fun is connection. So this is that shared experience with other people. And the third being flow. So when we're fully immersed or fully engaged in an activity and focused, that being in the moment.
Yeah. And I think when we can't, or when we're not in fun, we will then get stuck on kind of thinking about things in the future or things in the past, or like, having more possibility of worries about what else we have to do for the day. But when you're really feeling that sense of fun, you're kind of completely in the moment, like you're just fully engaged in what's going on, connecting with others, and then you get that light-hearted feeling, which is nice.
Lovely.
Kira, can you think of a recent time, or kind of any time, when you've been in that real like play state?
A few times come to mind. If I ever go out like dancing and have a night out with my friends, whenever we're kind of like dancing, I feel like I'm in a state of flow and just like having so much fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? What's the last time, or what's an example of play for you?
Yeah. I think for me, it's something I remember recently is kind of being at a gig, like a, live gig. Everyone around you kind of really enjoying the moment and engaged. So it had that like social connection element too. And you're just like fully in the moment. So you're just taking in everyone else around and kind of getting that secondhand joy too. Like, when you see other people like laughing and smiling, or they're singing along, and like, I don't know, just it's like a really euphoric state.
Yes.
Those times. So this is also not just something, I guess, that we experience by chance or that comes up, here and there. It's something that we're actually wired to engage in as humans. So as humans, we're kind of biologically driven to play. So not just something we necessarily do for fun, but there is this foundation of play within our biology.
It's so amazing, and it's not just for humans. If we think about other animals, like dogs, for example, they're playing in the park, socializing with other dogs, fetching
Yeah.
balls, and it's often linked back to that biological drive to socialize and connect with others.
Yeah, I just love seeing the dog park where there's all the dogs playing and they're having the best time.
Yes.
Yeah, they're
So
biologically
cute.
driven to play, and we need to do it more as adults.
Yes.
Yeah. So neuroscientists have identified these foundational brain circuits
Yeah.
that are for kind of primary emotions that we're born with. And these include things like fear or care and panic. But play is also one of those foundational emotional circuits within our brain. So it's really in there.
Yes.
The biological foundations of play are in the circuitry of our brains from really when we're born, but that need for play doesn't go away as we age. We need it as adults too. So given that that's part of our biology, what are the benefits of play? What does the research tell us about why engaging in play is so important?
There are so many benefits to play. Firstly, it leads to greater life satisfaction and well-being. Engaging in play also helps us cope with stress better and improves our mood. So obviously, when we're having fun, our mood increases.
Yeah.
It promotes our brain to release endorphins, and these are our body's natural painkillers that reduce feelings of pain and promote a positive mood or boost mood.
Lovely. That's what we want. And play reduces our cortisol as well. So that is obviously helping to reduce that feeling of stress. And then it's promoting relaxation. And then people or kind of adults who are more playful, they are often more likely to have more positive coping mechanisms too.
Yeah, which is amazing.
Yeah.
There's also been research that shows play can reduce the impact of depression and anxiety. So, engaging in playful activities can shift our mind away from focusing on negative thoughts.
Yeah. And that speaks to as well that element of play involving really being in the moment and like being really mindful and not thinking about like the future or the past. So
Yeah.
for, times when you're really anxious and you have all these racing thoughts, when you're actually in the play state or that like state of fun, you are by nature then not experiencing those like anxious rushing thoughts. Your mind's been able to switch off and just fully engage in the fun and the play. There are also cognitive benefits to play as well. So these are things like, engaging in regular play promotes problem solving and creativity. And if you engage in that more type of regular social and physical play, like something like team sports, then that can improve elements of your cognition, like your memory as well.
And speaking of those social elements of play, we know that engaging in activities you enjoy with others also helps deepen your relationships with other people. So, this can strengthen friendships or connections with family and give you a greater sense of belonging too, which we know is such a protective factor for our mental health and well-being.
Yes. Yay for play.
So many benefits.
Given all of that good stuff, so
Yes.
much good stuff as a result of play, why do we then play less and less as adults? Why do we give up play and fun?
It is such a great question. Given all these amazing benefits, why do adults play less and less? Well, we know that as we get older, we have more responsibilities and therefore less time to engage in play, particularly that spontaneous play.
Yeah.
It also becomes less of a priority, and we might kind of shift our focus to more productive pursuits. So there is such like a hustle culture at the moment. Some people may feel like to do something, they want to have like an output to it, whereas play doesn't necessarily have a specific output or outcome. It's just like engaging in the moment in fun.
Yeah.
So they might think of play as unproductive.
Yeah. This makes me really think about how, as an adult, we often turn our hobbies into these things where we have achievements or we
Yes.
need an outcome from them.
Yes.
So it's like things that you initially engage in and it's meant to just be
For
having fun.
Yeah.
We often turn them into things where we've got to achieve something from them. And again,
Yes.
that's, if people particularly have this drive where they've got to be doing more and more and more, or like, and that's kind of their personality style too. You might find you engage in a hobby and then that was previously playful and fun, and we turn it into something that isn't like that.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about different sports I've engaged in the past where the hobby has meant to, like, it's just meant to be for fun.
Yeah.
And then it's turned into something about like achieving the next goal
Yes.
within that hobby.
Yes.
Or even with reading, like I can never kind of leave a book unfinished, or it's about, it turns into how many books are read in a year. How quickly did I get through that, rather than like letting myself fully engage in the play and fun of it.
Yes. Or thinking that our hobbies somehow have to be monetized and become like profitable for us or become passion projects rather than letting them just be something we do for fun.
Yeah, like we can just engage in something for the fun of it.
Yes.
Yeah, rather than needing to turn it into this productive output driven thing. And often when it is shifted there, so when it's, changed from being something that was purely for fun or play and we've shifted it into this kind of productivity minded thing, we might lose that element of play or fun that it previously had.
Exactly.
As well. We also, as we, kind of become adults too, can become more self-conscious of things like play. And we might feel, silly or worried about what other people think of us. And that can get in the way of kind of having fun or engaging in play, or I guess shifting into this like playful mindset where we're just having a bit of fun. When we're, more conscious of what other people think, we might hold ourselves back a bit from engaging in play.
Exactly. There are all these barriers that adults have to engaging in play, despite all the benefits that we have also spoken about that play brings. So it's really important for adults to be conscious about incorporating play into their daily routines or their weekly lives.
Yeah. And identifying what play you like and what play feels like it's more kind of for you is a bit of a starting point for this. So to get that conscious engagement and reinvigorate our relationship with play as adults, it's kind of working out what play do we like what play is for us.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Now, we hope this episode hasn't been too much like the science of play and making it completely boring.
Although we are psychologists and we are researchers, and so
Yes, it is the point of the
podcast to the science of all of these things.
But we thought it could be really helpful to talk about some like main play theories or key models, and that might help you identify what types of play you enjoy. So Professor Proyer, who is a psychologist, he proposed a framework for adult playfulness, which has 4 different types of playfulness, which I'll now run you through. The first one is other directed playfulness, which, as the name suggests, it refers to enjoying playful interactions with others, such as shared play activities. The second one is light-hearted playfulness. This is where one approaches life with a carefree attitude, embraces spontaneity, and improvises in the moment. The third one is intellectual playfulness, where you're engaging with ideas and problems in a playful manner. You appreciate complexity and seek novel solutions. And the fourth being whimsical playfulness. So finding amusement in the unusual or absurd situations, often enjoying odd or unconventional things.
Which one do you think you fit into?
Good question. I think other directed playfulness is probably one that fits me. I know I have the most fun when I'm with others and kind of doing an activity with others. So that one for me. And then also whimsical playfulness also stands out because I think I can appreciate something unusual or a bit absurd as well. What
Yeah.
about yourself?
I feel like those fit for you too. I feel like you can like the unusual or absurd things.
Yep, thanks.
Just calling you odd, are you? On this podcast. No, no, no. I think if I'm being honest, although that it strikes me as slightly the more
It's intellectual, right?
Yeah.
Without a doubt.
And I'm like, I'm battling with myself here because I'm like, that's kind of, I don't want to say that it's boring, but it's, you know, like socially maybe like, yeah, it's
Yeah.
definitely, it's not, I'm definitely not a whimsical playfulness person. I also think I have trouble with the lighthearted playfulness. Like I can't approach, I'm not a carefree. We're not carefree over here. We are like careful. We're full of care. We're not carefree being me. And the embracing spontaneity and improvising, I'm thinking of like a few specific people that know me who will be laughing at the thought of me being spontaneous and improvising because I can't.
Yeah.
Like I would like to organize and book and plan and have it
Yeah.
all mapped out. And the thought of it being a spontaneous decision is very stressful.
Yeah.
So I'm going to stick myself to the intellectual playfulness and the
Yes.
other directed. I am a very social person, but
Yeah.
social in the not lighthearted
Yeah.
sense.
Lauren's idea of fun is problem solving and appreciating complexity. I mean, complexity.
Close enough. Close enough. The listeners know what you mean. Yeah, I think that's a fit for me.
Yes.
And we're honest on this podcast.
We are.
So let's just go with it. Stuart Brown also outlines these 8 play personalities, and
Yes.
Stuart Brown is the person we talked about earlier, the psychiatrist that has that National Institute of Play. And these 8 play personalities are things like the collector, the competitor, the creator or artist, the director, and the joker. And we'll link in the show notes their website that has like a lot more detail about all the different types of play personalities. But this is just another framework to think about what type of play you like to engage in based on, you know, your personality and the things you like. There is this quiz online as well that we will also link, which helps you kind of guides you to figure out what play personality you are. What one did it give to you, Kira?
My personality or play personality was kinesthetic play,
Oh,
which speaks to like body movement, which if I think about like my hobbies or kind of like things that I do on the weekend,
yeah.
it does ring true. Like I love yoga or going to a climbing wall or Pilates, like moving my body, running, dancing.
Yeah.
So yeah, that actually checked out.
Okay.
What about
That's good.
you?
I got the Explorer.
Ooh, okay.
Yeah, so this one plays again. I'm just laughing at how similar it is to the intellectual one before. The Explorer plays through learning. They want to know and understand. And this type of play is a way of orienting to the world as a learner. Okay, so
Yeah.
I'm just thinking back to another episode where we also did a questionnaire too, and it came out as we were looking at our values. One of our
Yes.
values was like learning.
Love of learning.
Love of learning. So I'm anything if not consistent. But yes, that was my one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there are play personalities. So essentially you can look at these kind of 4 types of playfulness.
Or the 8 types of playfulness from Stuart Brown.
Yeah, but the 4 types of playfulness that you talked about before.
Yes.
From Renee Proyer.
Proyer.
And then the 8 types of play personalities.
Personalities.
Yeah.
Yes.
4 types of playfulness, 8 types of play personalities.
Don't get confused.
As we are getting now.
And we will link these quizzes in the show notes. So check them out yourself if you'd like.
Yes, so those, sorry, when I was going through and I was bringing them up.
Well, I really interrupted.
was that you can see, look, this is the shared play and fun that we're having.
So much fun.
You can look to those as a kind of first step of orienting yourself to what types of play you might like to engage in.
Yes, and once we know what type of play we like, how do we do more of it?
So scheduling play, which is like the least fun sounding thing I think I've ever heard, but when we're busy adults, and particularly if you've struggled to put these things into your life before, scheduling play or making it making it a priority in your life is an important step into kind of getting more play in. So this is things like kind of incorporating play into each element of your day and or week, and prioritizing it as like a non-negotiable part of your routine. If you can think about what you like to do and enjoy and have fun with, like if you can think about those things that might be types of play that you will enjoy, then you can lock those things into your calendar. So trying to prioritize or block out time for them. But then also, if that's really hard for you, so if you have a lot of difficulty thinking about what play you like or what type of fun things you like to do, you can actually think back to when you were a child or when you were younger
Yeah.
and think about what you liked then. You know, were you someone that really engaged in like sporty activities or team sports or things like that, and that was the play you loved? Did you like to play like, I don't know, video games or different types of games, and that's something you want to kind of reinvigorate now? Did you love like drawing or creative activities? Like thinking back and then trying to incorporate that as an adult can be helpful. And then even in terms of like locking in those things into your schedule to help with play is like trying to think of something that sounds fun, even if you haven't tried it.
Mm.
So like if there's not something that comes to mind initially that you're already engaged in that you want to do more of, but just thinking about something that sounds fun. Like, I don't know, you come across something and you're like, that could be a good time.
Yeah.
But like saying yes to those things or just having a go at something that you haven't tried before. I think a lot of the recent things I've done that have been really fun are things that I had never tried before and I've tried for the first time. Like
Such as?
when you when you were talking before about like the climbing wall, like
Yeah.
went once with friends and they were really into climbing, and then I went and tried it a couple of times and that was really fun because I
Yeah.
had not done it before. Yeah, just even like going to new places, but just things that I haven't tried before,
Yeah.
putting that in. So scheduling it into our routine, as boring as that sounds, is likely to reduce the chance that you'll neglect play as part of your everyday life.
Yeah. I love that example of going back to what did you enjoy doing as a child and letting that spark ideas about how you might currently play as an adult.
Yeah.
Catherine Price also speaks about the importance of cutting down things that are fake fun. So, what we mean by fake fun are things that take up leisure time but don't necessarily inspire playfulness or connection or lead to that flow state.
Yeah, this is things like scrolling on social media,
Yes.
which we keep coming back to. But yeah, like scrolling through social media or kind of binge watching a TV show, those things you might be doing in the moment and they're taking up a lot of time. And it's not to say that you don't experience a sense of enjoyment from part of that. Like, for example, if you're watching a really funny TikTok, you probably laughed at it as well. But it's when you step away from that time again, you kind of feel that sense of like, being a bit stressed or not feeling those kind of like positive emotions or mood after the moment.
Yes.
And they can take up a whole lot of time, but not actually be where you're in those elements of that make up fun that Catherine Price talked about that we touched on earlier. So kind of the playfulness of it,
Yeah.
the connection with others, so the social element to it, and the flow state of play. And you don't really get them from these kind of fake fun activities that are things like kind of scrolling through social media. And so what to kind of do with this is identifying those sources of fake fun in your life. So it might not just be the social media thing. There might be other things you do kind of in that more downtime that you have where they're actually those kind of fake fun activities. And then it's trying to reduce the amount of time that you spend on them so that then you'll have more extra hours in the week that you can actually dedicate to that pursuit of like the true fun. So you can then have more time to put things in the schedule, or you then have more time for spontaneous play.
Love.
And you can add that into your life.
Amazing. So it's all about embracing a play mindset. So approaching activities with joy and curiosity and humor and being open to have fun and being open to play and that spontaneous play as well. It's less about the activity itself. So please don't get stressed about, I need to go to a rock climbing wall this weekend to have fun. It's like fun looks different for everyone and can be achieved in so many different ways. It's less about the activity itself, but more about the mindset or the mind frame of play.
Yeah. And that takes us back to that original definition, which is literally that it's not the activity, it's a state of mind or a state of being, and play is that experience of enjoyment or pleasure. And this, I guess, feeling or being in a playful mindset, I think for those of us and me, if we're talking about like, having difficulty with kind of that more spontaneous play, or if you're more prone to worry about what other people think of you and you find it harder to kind of let go and like let yourself kind of relax into that playful, fun frame of mind, it's kind of trying not to worry about what other people think in those moments, like trying to step back and kind of just be really in the moment and really engaging in the fun and play of it. This makes me think about friends we have who like really embody that mind frame. Like I'm sure everyone as well can think about, an example of like a friend or a family member or something where they just are able to kind of not care what other people think and just like have fun and really kind of get into that, real play state, be a bit silly, be a bit spontaneous, and have a lot of fun, which is what we want.
Exactly. So that brings us to the end of today's episode. We are done and dusted. We spoke about how as children, play and having fun takes up such a massive part of our life. But the older we get, we kind of deprioritize it and prioritize kind of that more hustle culture. But there's so many mental health and wellbeing benefits that adults can reap from engaging in play. And so it's so, so important to, work out what fun means and what fun looks like for you as an adult and engage in that as much as possible.
Yeah, absolutely. We're all tasked with going to have fun and play from here. Everyone go have fun. So you can message us and say hello or reach out or follow along at This Might Help podcast. We're there on Instagram and TikTok. You can also watch the full video version of the episodes on YouTube, and the research and references or resources from the episode are in the show notes as well.
As always, if you need further support, please get in touch with a healthcare professional, and further helplines are always in the show notes. Thanks so much for listening.
Bye.